Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Bucks lose it tonight. Back-to-back losses for the Milwaukee Bucks. 107-100 to the New Orleans Pelicans. Come on in the room. Doc, still the doctor. He writes out all of our scriptures. They're rough, but he's giving us the medicine in our room. Bucks lose it tonight, fellas. 107-100 to the New Orleans Pelicans. We are live. It's the Cream City crossover. The Guru Trey Crosby III.
JT.
Chris King.
Wow. I didn't see this one coming. Didn't have it on my bingo card. I thought the Milwaukee Bucks were going to come back off of a bad night. Again, you gave up a 19-point lead in the last game to the Los Angeles Lakers, right? You gave up a 19-point lead to the Lakers in the last 8 minutes of the fourth quarter. The thought process is that you come back against New Orleans and you show everybody that you mean business, that you're not to be messed with, that this is not to be a problem. That was just a temporary lapse. And it was not, because the Bucks came out brain dead tonight against New Orleans Pelicans and lose at 107-100. Get at me on the Twitter at TCIIESQ, in the chat, in the YouTube chat. What up, chat? And we'll talk about what's going on there. But of course, what's going on, brother? Sorry.
What?
JT doesn't know about sketch, I guess.
What's going on, brother? No, I just saw JT laugh. I had to figure out what was
what the hell that was. Right? Listen, man. This is what I'm gonna tell you, man. We talk about Doc giving us our medicine. Let me tell you, man. We can't get nobody Tylenol for a chronic illness. Can't do that. Can't get nobody Tylenol for a chronic illness. Can't get nobody no aspirin for no chronic illness. So if Doc is our doctor, he's gonna give us our medicine. You better give us something else, because this, what we've seen the last couple nights ain't it.
Yeah, and again, I know I get killed for it all the time, and I don't try to, and I'm not trying to bring up old days or old names or anything like that, and I'm not gonna do it. I'm just saying there was a time when the Milwaukee Bucks won a 70% clip. Yep. That time is no longer here. Doc Rivers is a 500 coach, and again, the sample size at this point is large enough. Like, I know we've talked, and again, I talked about it every time. The sample size, we're about 30 games into the Doc Rivers experiment. He's a 500 coach right now. Like, that those numbers are real. And so that just is what it is. But let's get to it. Let's do the game recap, brother. Let's do the game recap. The game recap sponsored, as always, by the law office of Daley M. Johnson. Give you defense where?
Off the court.
Off the court. Where you need defense off the court, you call the law office of Daley M. Johnson. He's giving you criminal defense, trafficking, OWI defense. He's doing TROs. What's that, JT?
Temporary restraining orders for y'all.
You know it. And injunctions. Call the law office of Daley M. Johnson, 608-893-8370.
7-0.
Hey, here we go. He's serving Central and South Central Wisconsin. Go to his website, www.dmjlaw.com. Sign up for free phone or in-person consultation. It's the law office of Daley M. Johnson. Let's get into it. The game recap, 107-100. The New Orleans Pelicans get the dub. We say it all the time. I got one guy that can show up. I got one guy on this basketball team I can count on. And Giannis Antetokounmpo, the first half was okay. It was good. The third quarter, Giannis absolutely gave the Milwaukee Bucks a chance to win this basketball game. He finishes with 35, 14, and 4, 15 and 22. He was 5-11 from the line. Did have 2 turnovers. I think both of them are probably charges with 5 fouls. But again, Giannis, an excellent night, finishing with 35, 14, and 4. Is the best player on the floor. He just did everything for the Milwaukee Bucks. At one point, he had 20 in a row for the Bucks in the third quarter. And at one point in the fourth quarter, and I think that it was like Giannis had scored 21 in the half. And the Bucks at one point, this was like midway through the fourth quarter, the Bucks only scored 19 points. Giannis had 21. Brook Lopez, 7 points, 5 rebounds. Again, the softest 7-footer in America. Guys getting. I mean, I saw C.J. McCollum just shoot the ball, get a rebound. I just didn't care. He was brain dead all night. What Kendrick Perkins say? If you put Brook Lopez brain in a bird, the bird would fly backwards. That's what Brook Lopez looked like tonight. It was abysmal. Chris Middleton played like an absolute bum. 7 points, 8 boards, 6 assists, 3 of 12 from 3 of 12, 1 of 7 from 3. Played like a bum. What Stephen A. Smith say? A bona fide scrub. That's what Chris Middleton was. It was horrible what he looked like. Malik Beasley at 20 points. Dame Lillard 20 points. I got Malik Beasley scoring at the same output as Damian Lillard. And as a matter of fact, they both go 6 of 12 from. Well, excuse me. Beasley was 6 of 12 from the field. Dame Lillard was 8 of 16. Bees was 6 of 11 from 3. Dame was 3 of 6. So they're both 50% around from the field, about 50% from 3. But to me, again, and Dame's, and I know we'll talk about Dame because I thought Dame was horrible tonight. But Dame, the difference though was, I mean, I think 7 of Dame's 20 was, I mean, it was almost like they were Matt Ryan stats, where you down the whole game and then you put some window dressing on it at the end. Like before Jared Goff was good. It was one of those we down and now you're hitting the threes when you're down, uncontested layup when you're down. Dame was not as good as this night even shows, and it wasn't that great, but it shows 27-5. He was not as good as that. Bobby Porter's terrible tonight, 5.7 boards. Jay Crowder pitched in with 3. Pat Connaughton had 3. Patrick Beverley, I mean, I know, and we're gonna talk about him too. He has a torn ligament in his wrist. I've never seen a guy torn ligament in his wrist and just can't stop shooting threes. I'm going to play through a torn ligament, supposed to be out 3 to 4 months. Nah, I'm going to thug it out. I'm going to play through it. Okay, that's cool. Nobody needs you to shoot that many threes with a torn ligament in your wrist. You clearly can't shoot them. 0 for 3 tonight. AJ Green only play 2 minutes tonight. I don't understand. You're down 15, 16 points all game. AJ Green plays 1 minute. Don't get it at all. Doc Rivers, listen. Zion put up 28 and 5. I thought it was fun watching Zion and Giannis together. Trey Murphy was good, 15 and 11. Jonas Valanciunas gets a double, 17 and 10. Herbert Jones, 11 points, 4 boards, 4 assists, 4 steals, 3 blocks. Dude was all over the floor. I thought defensively, Herb Jones was really, really good. Just a menace all over the court. See, and again, how many times we talk about it? Another guard outplaying this top 75 Hall of Famer, all that. CJ McCollum puts up 25, 7, and 7. So again, you get out. So now you just laundry list of guards that come up against Damian Lillard and just outplay him. And that's what happened tonight. Larry Nance Jr. with 9 points and 7 boards. But what I saw from the game, I saw in the first quarter, brain dead. I mean, the Bucks were absolutely brain dead. I think this thing started off. The Bucks were only down 1, and then it's the second quarter. The Bucks were put up 20 points in the second quarter. It was a 35-20 quarter from the New Orleans Pelicans. But I thought, from the entire game, or excuse me, the entire first half, really, it was bad. I think the Bucks had 9 turnovers in the first half, or something to that effect. They just were not. They were not in sync. They were not good. Chris turned the ball over. Brook turned the ball over, and then Giannis single-handedly beats his chest, gets you back into the basketball game in the third quarter. And in the fourth quarter, you go away from Giannis. But here's my issue. My issue is we do all this Dame time stuff, and that's what – and this is what it looked like to me. Late in those games where you got – and again, Giannis got it down – well, so at one point in the third, Giannis got it down to 4 points. And then it had been like 15, 16 all game long. Giannis gets down to 4. They run it right back up because Chris Middleton – took a bad shot, missed a shot, then he turned the ball over. They got 2 threes back-to-back, ran the lead right back up. So that was that. That killed your momentum in the third quarter. And in the fourth quarter, you're playing okay. You're getting downhill. You're doing some good things. And it's supposed to be – you got a top 75 guy. You got the guy that's supposed to be bringing you – it's his time. Fourth quarter, 7 minutes to go. It's Dame time. Dame's supposed to run the team. And we heard all year long, they don't give him the ball. He's standing in the corner. We heard about it all year long. This was his moment to shine. 8 minutes to go. You played like crap all game long. And now, here you go. You got an opportunity. And time after time after time. Do you know who took the shots down the stretch for the Milwaukee Bucks? Malik Beasley. Now, he missed a lot. Malik Beasley missed a lot of good open shots. He really was having a real good game until that late in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. But Beasley took all the shots. But why was that? It's Dame time, and you're being passive. It's Dame time, and you're getting the screen you want. They're setting it up, getting the switch for you, Larry Nance. You get to go one-on-one, and he gets to where he wants, and he passes up almost every single time. Gave the ball up. It was not, to me, it was not a good look. It's, sometimes I was at that. Let me say, and I'll let you guys go. I was at the Game 6 finals where Giannis went for 50. I'm there, right? And I turned to my dad, with my dad. I turned to him, and you could just see Giannis had a look in his eye. I'm not missing. He wasn't missing free throws. He was going to. It didn't matter what was going on. You saw it. I wasn't there in person tonight in New Orleans. Maybe it looked like the guys, maybe they got drunk on Bourbon Street because that's what they looked like. Looked like they were hungover. But as I'm watching this game from the comfort of my living room, I don't see a guy that has that in his eye. Like, yeah, it's me time. I'm taking over. Now, again, he's had it in some games this year. He didn't have it tonight. Bucks lose 107-100. That's what I saw. JT, what'd you see?
Man, funny you made the Bourbon Street reference, right? Because I'm thinking we grown now. We thinking what? He was maybe in the French Quarter, right? They was maybe out there in the French Quarter, not in Bourbon Street, right? We don't like the sticky asphalt, but okay. Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, isn't that the worst, right? Anyway. So, yeah, I would agree with you, man. It was just bad. That first quarter stunk, right? It's like a constant fart on the elevator, not going anywhere, just stunk, just bad in the first half. Turnover party, nine turnovers. The Bucks were down 18 at one point. It was clear that half the team wasn't going to show up. I think Giannis and Beasley both had 12 in the first half. Beasley came out swinging. And Dame was absent, right? And I agree with you. That third quarter, I mean, Giannis put this team on his back. 20 straight points in that third quarter. Absolutely beautiful, nasty work by Giannis. But then what happens in the fourth quarter? Giannis doesn't have a field goal. I don't even think he attempts a field goal till 3 minutes left in that. Or I'm sorry, I don't think he doesn't make a field goal till 3 minutes left in that quarter in the fourth.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. That sounds right.
I mean, my goodness, right? And so some of that you do kind of have to ask. We talked about this the other night with the Lakers, right? Do you find the guy that's hot, right? Do you force feed the guy that's hot? Do you force feed the guy that's doing? And it's kind of what we asked on Monday, right? When we put that on the guards, or we put it on Giannis in that case for not demanding the ball. Well, I mean, listen, you just saw that man have a strong third quarter like that. Why are you not continuing to force the ball to him there in the fourth? All right, so that's the first thing, right? Second thing, our benches did not help us tonight. Both teams, I said this before the show, both teams, the bench combined for a total of 11 points. I mean, that is awful. Absolutely terrible. Beasley tonight has 6 threes, right, which is more threes than Dame, Chris, Brooke, Bobby, Giannis combined. I mean, my goodness, right? Awful look for a team that's such a great three-point shooting team like this. And ultimately, it was too little, too late. I'll say this, right? We thought Chris returning from the ankle, and he had looked good for the most part, returning from the ankle injury in his games back. But on Monday against the Lakers, he went 4 for 15. Tonight he goes 3 for 12. Is Chris in a slump? Is he tired? I don't really know. Maybe this is going to happen. But guys, we got 8 games left, so we got to figure this thing out, right? Because we're not looking like a fine-tuned engine. Right now we're looking like putting a little bit. Black smoke's coming out the top. That's not good.
I think it just ultimately comes back to just this being an inconsistent basketball team. Like, we've had these problems throughout the whole year where the bench doesn't show up and maybe one of the stars doesn't show up or nobody shows up outside of Giannis. And what we can rely on consistently is Giannis. But at the end of the game, even tonight, he didn't really take control after he was, scoring 18 of the last 18 points. He didn't really do the things necessary to try to will this team to a victory. And, yeah, it does end with Beasley taking all the shots down the stretch. And that's just something you can't have. You can't always have the ball in the role player's hands, no matter if he's 7 of 7 from the three-point land before crunch time. So I thought that was bad. And then defensively, look, those guys, they picked us apart. I think we get too slow on our closeouts, and then it allows us straight line drive, and then it just allows them to pick us apart. So it's stuff like that we've just been seeing this whole season. And my biggest problem, I think, is like how we let these losses snowball. because that's a problem if it goes into the playoffs and you lose one, a tight one that you blew a 10-point lead, something like that, and then it keeps happening. It happened last year against the Heat. They had some voodoo magic with the comeback, and then they did it again the next game. So it's like I am disappointed in how we react to losses. It would be nice to at least come back with a win tonight, and we didn't do that. And then now you got to go play the Hawks, who can very well beat you. And it just feels like you're starting over constantly. So I think those are my bigger takeaways. But, yeah, from the game, I thought Giannis played well. But, yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, and I try not to get down too much from game to game. But my thing is, again, I see the same things happening over and over. And, again, it's the turnovers. It's the brain-dead moments. It's the how do we play down the stretch. And, again, I just talk about it. To me, and I talked about earlier. I talked on Twitter about, we used to score 140 points with ease, and JT, we've talked about that a ton, about the identity of the basketball team and what used to happen. But this is a different team. The pace has slowed down, but they just, for whatever reason, there are certain moments in the game where there's just no way I can say that I trust this basketball team. Like, you just, based on what we've seen, I don't think I can. Or I do. And again, I made the point before, nothing would surprise me about this team. Nothing. Could they win it all? Sure. Could they get beaten the first round? Absolutely. Like, I don't know how anybody can sit here with a straight face and tell you, like, we're good. We're not good. We're not good. Like, and I'm not saying we're not good as a team. I'm just saying we're not good to where, like, none of this matters. No, to me it does. They look like a team that I believe was Chris, Giannis, and Dame. Was this their 5th game under Doc Rivers together? It looks like it. It looks like it. Like, right? And like you said, Chris, he played a few games when he came back very well, and now he's not playing so hot. At the end of the day, this thing to me, and that's why I saw Jay Wan come and say, "Oh, they come to blame game or whatever." I promise, and I saw some people talking about it to me on Twitter too already. I'm like, yes, I'm holding the top 75 guys at a very high standard. The reason I don't have to come in here every single night and talk about how bad Giannis was or how he didn't play up to his standards, you know why I don't have to do that? Because he just does it. He plays up to his standards. He plays up to and the crazy thing is when he doesn't, he still has something crazy for you. Like, he can not play up to his standards and still put it. Like, a bad night for Giannis can be like 15, 12, and 7 rebounds, like 7 boards and 7 assists. Like, that's like he, with 2 blocks and great defense throughout. Like, that can still be a bad. That's considered a bad game for Giannis. And I got people in the crazy. I got people telling me that, like, sending me Dame's stat line. Like, hey, are you sure he didn't have a good game? What are we talking? Are we serious? And all I'm saying is that, again, at the end of the day, this comes down to, and we can talk. Chris Middleton has to play better, yes. Brook Lopez has to play better, yes. You mentioned the bench. Guys have to play better, yes. But at the end of the day, this with as bad as the bench played, JT, with as bad as Brook Lopez played, Chat, with as bad as some of these guys played, at the end of the day, this was a 7-point game. And if Damian Lillard, your other top 75 player, played like a Hall of Fame player, I'm not even saying you got to play because again, Giannis is they really not. I know that we kind of saw a superstar who's they ain't really getting in Giannis's level. Like, they're on 2 different levels right now. Like I think there's not right. They're on 2 different levels. But if Damian Lillard even played to star status, if he played like a star tonight, the Milwaukee Bucks find a way to win. So that's why I put more on Damian Lillard all the time, because it's like, even with the deficiencies and the faults, you can still have guys mask some of the stink of your team. And you thought by bringing Damian Lillard in that he would help to mask that. Instead, he sometimes contributes to the odor and to everything that's going on. So I got, anyway, I could go on and on, but again, I need Damian Lillard to play at his level, and the rest of these guys, I would love to come in here and trash everybody else for playing bad and not have to talk about Dame or Giannis. But I got to talk about Dame too, because he's collectively, he just joins into the funk with those guys, man. That's just what I see. I don't know.
Like I said, man, I told you. You thought I was joking when I said it's the fart on the elevator, right? And just everybody, and there's some culpability in there. Everybody who's sitting up in that thing, if you walk on, you like, man, I got a problem with all y'all. That's exactly what happens with this team. Man, Giannis shows up, and I say this every night. We do not appreciate this man. He comes in and he works his heart. You
I'm just
good,
looking
man?
at the chat. Yeah, I'm just looking at the chat. This Q Money Adventure says this all started with Giannis playing hero ball, in my opinion. Like, what are we talking? Are we mental? Giannis needs to set the tone and start trusting his teammates and pass the ball. What are we taught? Yeah, Mark Gomez, thank you, says, is this dude serious? Yeah. All right, go ahead, Jay. Come on, man.
You good? You good, man? You know what? I'm trying to look at the chat. I can't see it right now. But
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'll just go ahead. You good?
You good, man? Go ahead, Chris.
My bad, man.
It's been too often to where we've had to have these conversations, and it's not something that you can just let go. Like, because if this is ultimately our downfall in the playoffs, then we'll be saying throughout the whole season, we told you so. He's trying to show us who he is now at this point, and you guys didn't believe him, but we did. So yeah, I think that's the reason why he gets the harsh criticism, because you want to see him pick it up. You want to see him perform at the level that we all know he can, that we've all seen in times where maybe Giannis is out of the lineup, or he has the ball and is being aggressive in these moments. And I think you just want that level of consistency from him. But yeah, it trickles down. Like look at a guy like Bobby, who strung together a great stretch of basketball after All-Star break, and then tonight he just can't be on the floor. He's just fouling and shooting the ball poorly. He can't even play over 16 minutes because he can't guard a soul. So it's a tough spot to be in, but we're always going to have that kind of criticism for a guy like Dame, just because we expect more, and we have been spoiled by a guy like Giannis who brings it nightly.
JC, you want to finish the thought you were having?
No,
before Q Money came here with that ridiculous take.
You good, man?
But I also
it'll come back. It'll come back later.
I also think that when people are saying he's not being aggressive and Beasley's taking too many shots, well, then whose fault is that? You know what I mean? Like, that's his fault for
that's
not
Dame's fault.
Taking control and not wanting to be the guy in those moments when he's basically made his whole career off of being the guy in these moments. So that would be my rebuttal to that.
Yeah, I can't fault Beasley at all for taking those shots. Not only he was hitting, he was open. He was having a very good game. But yeah, I have a hard time faulting Bees when Dame gets to his matchups, gets to his one-on-ones, and instead of finding those shots, even on the screens where he has room, he's passing those up. Like, there was a look the other night against LA that he passed to Beasley, and I believe Beasley missed a three. It was an open three for Beasley, and I think he missed it in LA. But I mean, it was a screen that Dame got around, and it would have probably been a 20, 22, 21-foot jumper from the top of the key that he should have taken and probably hits, and he passed it. And tonight I saw a lot of that passive stuff. So again, what do you want Beasley to do? He's open. He's shooting the shot. Like, that's what an open player should do. They should shoot that shot. And again, that's what I want Dame to do, but he's not doing it. Young City says splitting up Drew Holiday and Giannis was the worst mistake. Robert Henry says, like y'all say, 2021 was 3 years ago. Giannis and Dame need youth to run with. Super DeKinky says should have traded Chris instead. State of Mind says it was pretty much Giannis carrying us tonight. Got to do better. Snakey973 says Bucks are terrible. Getting Dame was a huge mistake. John Hassel, John Hassel, your boy Beasley. I know you hate Beasley. Bees basically, because we talk about Beasley a lot. Beasley carried the Bucks for the first half of the game. Beasley was really good. After Beasley hits a wide open shot, he turns around, lets CJ do whatever he wants. Beasley's stats are misleading. Come on. Then when you need him to make one, he misses. Seen these players before, trash. So again, here's my thing on the Beasley thing. So you said that Beasley was missing, or you needed him to make it, he was trash. He shot 50%. So the ones that he missed. So I mean, if you think about that, that means that he was shooting at a crazy clip before that. So yeah, I can't. I mean, again, if Beasley gives you 20 points, and that's why again it's so hard for me to criticize Beasley. If Beasley giving you 20 points on 50% shooting and 50% from three, what more are you asking for from a role player that makes $2 million a year? You see what I'm saying here? Like, how am I up? How can I like really get up? That's the difference between when we talk about a superstar versus a guy making $2 million a year, and y'all got the same output scoring wise and shooting the same percentage from the field. How does that happen?
Now, to be fair, though, Beasley did average somewhere between like 19 and 21 points in like 2019, 2020 somewhere like for that 3-year stretch, I believe.
What with the
like
Jazz? Like,
maybe, with
the Timberwolves? Like
it
that's
might actually been with the Lakers or the Timberwolves. Yeah, Timberwolves and I mean I can look it up, right? Like I'm acting like we don't have computers in our hands, right? But so maybe it is reasonable to say, well, Beasley has been a bucket before, right? So maybe we can we ask that he's more than a guy that just spots up and shoots threes? Is it possible that we ask for that? I mean, sure.
We
that's
got
not
that
really
and he
his
threw it
role.
away. We got that and he threw it away late in the fourth. So it's like, I don't think you can ask too much more out of him. I think he brings what he brings. My problem is like, Doc is just very weird to me so far. Like, why do we only see AJ Green for limited minutes? But why is he the guy to go to late in the third quarter? Why doesn't he get run in the first or the second? Why is he? Why? Yeah. Get him in a rhythm. Let him make mistakes in those moments so that he doesn't make mistakes in the third quarter when you really need a big three and he missed it. It's stuff like that. I think that those are more important conversations to have. 33 minutes might be excessive for Beasley, but when he's making the shots like that, then how can you take him out?
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I want to address a couple comments here. Malcolm Madkin says, y'all can't think because Giannis has a stat line he's playing good. Again, I go. Are we serious? Like, what are we talking? You didn't think Giannis had a good game tonight? Is that where we didn't think Giannis had a good game tonight, dude? Again, I just told you there was a moment in the middle of the fourth where Giannis had 21 points and the Bucks as a team had 19. There was a moment midway through the fourth when that was what was happening, and you're telling me that Giannis didn't have a good game? What are we saying? What are we doing?
To be fair, I do think that a lot of listeners don't get a chance to see the games, right? So you can't really see.
They must not.
And if you're not listening to it, if you can't see it, then then it's hard to judge that impact and to see that, right? So, hey man, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there because I don't understand that comment.
Stevie Wonder. That must be Stevie on the chat. What up, Stevie? How's it going? You missed the game. And then Mark Gomez. So Mark says Giannis is deferring too much in the fourth. That's Doc's game plan. Doc has to read the room and force feed Giannis if he's rolling and Dame is struggling. Chris needs to be a better bridge. I agree with Chris needs to be a better bridge. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, when you say Giannis, and that might be, I think there's some truth to that. When we say Giannis is deferring, yeah, and we've heard Giannis, it's Dame's team. It's Dame. I get some of that talk. And yeah, I do think the plan is Dame basically decides everything that happens. And that's what we're seeing. And again, and that's I hear, Jaywan, who's telling me that, Malik Beasley's open. I'm not denying that Malik Beasley is open, but he's not the guy. Okay, again, I do it like this: $1 million on the line, $1 million on the line. You want a wide, and I want to say wide open. A pretty open Beasley three, or do you want Damian Lillard in whatever shot you can get from Damian Lillard for the most part? Outside of like a heavily contested shot from Damian Lillard, who do you want shooting that ball? With $1 million, when your life is on the line, who do you want shooting that basketball?
I didn't know if it was a rhetorical thing. I was going to say. Most likely it's going to be Damian, right? Most likely it's going to be right. Well, that's most likely who you asking to shoot that ball right now. This year, no, right? But generally speaking, throughout his entire career, it's been Dame. Dame, you 100% will put your money on that, right? That's like putting what you putting $1 million on black, yes sir.
Right.
So
for our Craps fans.
So I think that there is There is still some confusion between Giannis and Dame when it comes to the late game. I think they play ping pong way too much. It's like Giannis sets the screen, Dame looks for the shot first, and then he's like, oh, let me get it back to Giannis. And then Giannis is like, no, you shoot. It's your time. And this is like they don't know what's going on out there, and then all of a sudden it's either a late shot clock shot for Dame or it's either a wide-open Beasley three. So it's like I don't like how they're putting themselves in that predicament. I think they can run a lot better offense in those final minutes, in moments where you need buckets. And Dame has shown the aggressiveness to go and get those kind of buckets. It's just he's not doing them on consecutive possessions, so it gets him out of rhythm. It gets the Bucks out of rhythm, and Beasley's there. He's ready to shoot it. So, it's tough. I think they could run some better stuff in the final minutes of games.
Yeah, no, absolutely 100%. They can run better sets. And again, I think you're right. I wish that it was Dame to Giannis, but instead it was there's a screen coming, and then Dame gets a look that's pretty good, and instead he's passing it to he's finding Beasley. Again, Beasley's open, but it's got to be Dame or Giannis that's getting the ball pretty much all the time down the stretch. Occasional shots from Chris, occasional shots from Beasley or anybody else on the floor. But those two have really got to drive everything, and they have not. Let's go to the Twitter and talk about some things that we're saying there. At Sam McAdams 4 says Dame is the problem. We've handed the keys over to him at Giannis and Chris's expense, and the dude goes out there and plays like someone who's Lord, I gotta read these. Okay, we've handed the keys over to him at Giannis and Chris's expense, and the dude goes out there and plays like someone whose balls were awarded to his wife during the divorce. He needs to play like Dame Lillard, or we need to give the ball back to Giannis. Okay.
Oh man.
At Paul G770 says if we don't trade Chris and Brook, then Horst should be fired. At Bozzy Iverson says, if we're being honest, the game the Pelicans pulled away when Giannis attempted 3 straight jump shots in the second quarter, and we never fully recovered. But whatever, blame Dame. Again, I totally disagree with that. Again, the game I'm not going there because again, it was a 4-point game in the third quarter. So the game so if you're gonna go the route that Giannis pulled the game away, he pulled it right back. So I won't go there. Maddie1502 says feels like defense is okay. The offense has been absolutely terrible the past 5 quarters. GA withstanding. Drew Baird says I think it's imperative that the Bucks move off of Middleton and/or Lopez's contracts this offseason. Justin from NC says the team is tired, completely outplayed in this game, and the Pels were better. We need to get it going. And then I'll do a couple more here. At Sabaz Vasco _MKE says they are a bunch of softies. They need someone to call them out and say enough is enough. Stop playing like a bunch of. And then we'll do one more here. At KJBD11 says definitely not a great sign when the guy you're paying to be clutch and hit big shots when it matters looks terrified to shoot. So again, there were a lot of comments on the Twitter, but again, that's kind of the gist of them. A lot about Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez, a lot about Damian Lillard, and what took place there. I do want to ask you guys this. We talked about it. Is this loss concerning, especially coming off what happened to LA? I know I try not to think about 1-82 and you try to think about it like that, but were you especially concerned about a loss like this when you think that the team is going to come together and rally after losing the way in the fashion that they did to the LA Lakers a couple nights before?
Yes. The short answer is yes, right? Like, we didn't seem to have that much of an answer for Zion. I don't know what the game plan was there, but I'm concerned not so much because of the performance alone as much as I'm concerned about, hey, man, Brook looked awful tonight, right? And if Brook is going to play like this in the playoffs, we are in trouble. We are 100% in trouble, right? Because now you got multiple guys on the court that are hesitant, that look a step slow, that look like they out there looking for directions. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I am worried about what I'm seeing from Brook Lopez right now. And I just want somebody to tell me that it's going to be okay and that this is just a couple of that what I'm seeing is not actually what I'm seeing, and Brook's going to be fine. And I just don't think any of y'all are really going to do that.
JT, you need a shoulder to lean on. So I am concerned, and I think I already hit on it. Is just like how they weren't able to come out and make a statement win with a team that doesn't have probably their best player in Brandon Ingram, and it looked like the attitude and the effort that we always talk about, that we've kind of seen an improvement post All-Star break, it's not there anymore after they take a heartbreaking L where they gave up and they weren't able to beat the Lakers. So like I said, yeah, they let a bad game snowball into another bad game, and that is concerning getting into the playoffs. And some things were exposed tonight. Obviously, you get a guy like Zion, there aren't too many in the league out there, but he just absolutely torched the Bucks' interior defense that has normally been pretty good. So if you look at some of the things that were exposed tonight, the fact that they weren't able to guard Zion, the fact that they still reverted to those same defensive lapses where they can't close out, where they can't stop the straight line drive, where they're not getting out on shooters quick enough, not running back in transition, stuff like that. It's all a part of it. I'm concerned with all of it. But, then maybe the Bucks win against the Hawks and then it's out the window. Like it is a regular season. It is the NBA. But, it's concerning to lose these 2 in a row for sure.
Yeah, and it's a good point you bring up. I was particularly, just to me it was concerning. A couple things, one, just how they came out and without the mental focus. It's coming off a loss like that. Again, it's one thing to lose, it's another thing to not be all the way focused and engaged. And then the other part, you talk about the defense and how they played against Zion. I didn't understand. Like, I get it, Zion's not a shooter, but you just can't give a guy like that a full head of steam, to you sitting back, he's at the 3-point line and you sitting back in the paint. I mean, again, dude he's just so powerful that he's running up on you and getting into the inside. And getting to the foul, getting to the line. He played aggressive. There were a couple moments where he didn't play aggressive, and I thought that was when the Pelicans struggled. But kudos to him and for getting back aggressive and getting himself into the game. So I thought that was overall a really good job from him. But again, just disappointed at how the Bucks came out. And then the second question I want to pose to you guys right now: the Cleveland Cavaliers have dropped off just a little bit. Let me pull up my standings here. And so now the 3 seed currently are the surging New York Knicks, who have won 3 games in a row. They've won 3 in a row. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They're a game and a half behind the Milwaukee Bucks for second. And so I asked this kind of as a 2-part question. Again, we've kind of addressed this in the past a little bit, but number one, so if you're looking at that, at the standings here, the Bucks sit in second. You have a likely matchup right now. It's between Miami and Philly are the 7 and 8 seeds. Miami is a game behind Indiana, who's the 6th seed, and that play-in matchup would determine who's going to be your 7. So again, we talked about it. It's going to be between Indiana, Miami, and Philly. Indiana 6-4 in their last 10. Miami's 4-6 in their last 10, and Philly's 4-6 in their last 10. Do you think the Bucks hold on to this 2 seed and hold off the New York Knicks?
I say that. I say that. I say it because I didn't see this week coming. Right? Like, I thought we were going to win both of these games, right? That, LA with no LeBron, the Pelicans, no Brandon Ingram. And, look, the Knicks got the Spurs, the Thunder, and the Heat, and then the Kings. I mean, that's not exactly the easy. I mean, obviously Spurs, you don't really worry about them, but, the Thunder, the Heat, they can surge, the Kings, and then the Bull. There's a chance they could catch us. There's a chance that we could end up playing into the 3rd seed if we don't figure this thing out, right? I think we have to win. Honestly, I feel like these next 2 games we really do need to win, right? Well, granted, we do have we're a game and a half ahead, but we got to do something to build that cushion because there's a chance the Knicks could get us.
Yeah, I'm not going to tiptoe around the answer like JT does.
I didn't tiptoe. I was thinking through it and was like, man, I don't like what's about to come out, but I mean, I got to keep it a buck.
I don't think they're going to get the 2 seed, to be honest. That head-to-head with the Knicks, that's scary because they can easily cover ground there.
Oh, you said who? You don't think who's going to get the 2 seed?
The Bucks. I don't think the Bucks are getting the 2 seed. I think they'll get the 3. And this is why they struggle versus bad teams. You could tell me that they have the worst remaining schedule in the league, and I would still have this same answer. They don't bring it. There's no want to win right now, it seems like. They only show up versus contenders. And I think that's a big problem because obviously you have the Celtics and the Magic, right? And the Knicks. So maybe they do get up for those games and they do lock it in. But outside of that, look, I would not be surprised if they just lose a couple more and then, they're fighting against the Knicks and they lose a hard-fought battle there and then they just get the 3 seed. So I don't think this 2 seed is us anymore. Maybe they're tanking it on purpose because they don't want to see Jimmy Butler. But, who knows?
I think the Bucks will. I think that'd be disappointing if they didn't hold to the 2 seed. I think these next 4 games are going to determine a lot, and obviously you got the fifth one's the head-to-head against New York. I mean, again, I'm not saying you have to win. You got Hawks, Wizards, Grizzlies, Raptors coming up. Those should all 4 be wins. And the Hawks are coming off of 2 wins over the Boston Celtics. So you can take that for what it's worth. But I guess the way I'll say it is, if you can handle at least 3 of those, I think you can get all 4. And then if you beat the Knicks at head to head, it's probably a wrap no matter what New York does. And then you're probably at a position where you can kind of pace yourself in the last 4 games that are Celtics, Magic, Thunder, Magic, most likely, and get away with maybe winning 1 or 2 of those and having that be that. But again, when we're talking about the 2 seed, the next 4 games are going to be very important, obviously, into what happens. And again, it's the Hawks, the Wizards, the Grizzlies, and the Raptors. You have got to beat these teams. Like, these need to be tune-up games for the Milwaukee Bucks. Absolutely need to be tune-up games where you are getting yourselves and preparing yourselves to play in the playoffs. I wonder what looks people are going to give Bucks Celtics in that last tilt, at the end of April, middle of the last few games of the season. But I just feel like they should win the 2. They should be the 2 seed. They should win these next 4 games. And if you don't, this is my answer to that. If you don't, you have bigger problems than what seed you are. I guess that's kind of how I feel about that.
I agree with that, but I mean, to rip the Band-Aid completely off, here's the reality, man. You could very well, if the Bucks don't figure this thing out and the Knicks and Cavaliers do, we very well could be the 4th seed in the East. And that would be absolutely ridiculous. But mathematically, that is 100% feasible, right? If the Bucks do not figure this out. Because we sitting here talking about 2 or 3 seed. You realize the Cavaliers are only 2 games behind the Bucks, right? So at the end of the day, if we keep this up and we go out there and we stink it up against the Hawks and the Knicks and Cavaliers keep winning, we could be looking at a situation where we're playing down to the wire, right? And the difference could be the difference between the last few games really could be the difference between the 2nd and the 4th seed in the East.
And realistically, like, these next 4 games shouldn't just be, I guess, tune-ups. They should be double-digit wins, all 4 of them, to be honest. Like, if the Bucks are really serious about this thing, getting it rolling, then they should be able to handle business without a doubt. Especially after losing these 2 games in a row, you've got to come out with some fire. You've got to secure that 2nd seed, and you should leave no doubt. You can control your own destiny. Why don't you do it? Go out and do it. And I don't know if they will, but it's an opportunity for sure.
Jaywan says the Bucks' only concern is who can beat us in 4 games, and that'll be hard to do. I have faith in this team, but Doc needs to leave the offense alone. Again, I agree. Will it be hard to do? I agree with that, but I get to the point where can it be done? Oh, very easily. And again, I want to go back to these last 3 teams. Let's assume the Bucks do get the 2 seed, and you're looking at, again, probably Indiana, Miami, or Philadelphia. I think we've asked this before, but I want to level set again. Who do you want to play? I guess in order, who are you least afraid of? Philadelphia, Indiana, Miami. Who do you think can upset the Bucks? Can any of these teams upset the Bucks? Should the Bucks? I know John likes to use the word. Again, he had that word backfire on him today. He likes to, what do you say? They're going to cruise or was coast to the Elite 8, and Arizona didn't coast. He said Marquette going to coast to the Elite 8.
Listen, man. Don't ask me about any teams after tonight's game and against the Lakers, right? Because my answer might change after looking at this team tonight. Looking at some of these guys out there looking like. I don't know. I agree with you. I don't know if they was eating they was on the big nets or whatever. I never pronounce them right. If they was doing that, or it was on the French Quarter. They was out there just eating every fried food, everything fried or what. It was just in the mud. But at this point, man, I mean, I don't worry about the 76ers. I'm not worried about them at all, especially with no Embiid. If he does come back, it's still up in the air if he's going to come back or not, right?
No, I think they're actually saying that he's going to. They're expecting Joel Embiid to be back at some point in the regular season.
Has he been cleared?
I don't know that he's been cleared, but they're expecting him to be back before the play-in.
Well, if they're talking about at some point during the regular season, if he comes back like a game before the play-in, I ain't worried about it. I'm not worried about that. I still think the Sixers would be probably the easiest matchup, but I don't think we're going to get the Sixers, right? I doubt we get the Sixers. The Pacers, the Pacers, we talked about it before. They've been in a bit of a slide since the tournament in the back half of the season, right? But they have played us tough, and I don't know if that's a real rivalry or not, right? I still feel like they're kind of the little brother making noise, happy when they score points from time to time, and they got a couple wins, but I don't think they really have what it takes to beat us in 4, or what they will have what it takes to beat us in 7. Who I worry about, though, I hate to say it, is Miami, just because there's all this persona and hype about the Heat culture, playoff Jimmy. We saw him fry us last year. Can't say that Dame or Beasley are necessarily better defenders, even though I do think we're a bit more equipped to maybe handle Jimmy and get some different looks in there. But again, from a talent perspective, we should not struggle with the Heat. I think we should be able to beat them. It's not unreasonable to say, yeah, the Heat won't win more than 2 games in that series. So it's kind of where I'm at this point, which is a great non-answer to your question.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would rather play the Sixers too, because I just think you're just a lot better than them. Their role players aren't as good as some of the Heat's players, and realistically, whatever matchup you get, I don't really care who it is. You got to take care of business. It can't be a first round exit. That's all I'm thinking about. I have no concern that they're going to lose their first round matchup, but you would like to have a little more confidence going into that first round matchup, and having these conversations 8 games away or whatever it is not ideal.
Yeah, I think here's what I'll say. I agree. I think that Philly is probably the easiest matchup between outside of all 3 of those teams. However, I think the Bucks are in a position where they need to get rid of the demons, and the 2 demons that are out there are the Indiana Pacers and the Miami Heat. Like I don't want to say I don't want to inch to the conference finals. I want to get there by any means necessary. So if it's the Philly, it's whatever. But I think this team needs to be challenged and needs to be tested. And they need to go into this first round series knowing that you're either playing a Miami Heat team who beat you in 5 games last year, who came from out of nowhere in the play-in and took you down, or Indiana team who, like people in the comment just said, beat you 4 out of 5 games this year. You got some bad blood, took Giannis' ball. You're going to come into that game with some emotion, or that series with some emotion. You're going to have the media who, again, it's going to be a 2-7 matchup. And the media, there's going to be some media folks who say, I don't know. Maybe Indiana's going to get them. I don't know. Maybe Miami's going to get them. It's going to be one to look at. It won't be your normal 2-7, throw this series away. No. Eyeballs will be on this 2-7 matchup because there's going to be this opportunity that the Bucks could lose. And I think the Bucks need some of that fire that Giannis will be like, damn, if we lose, you can't go up to the opponent and say, not they failure. You're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to, nobody's listening to that no more. You can't do that. True. Nobody cares. And again, I go back to some of the stuff. It goes back to what Shaq told Dame at the All-Star game, where it's like, if you guys lose, that's why my thing about all the people in the chat that are talking about Chris Middleton and Beasley's not doing this and Brook Lopez. Shaq told Dame, and Shaq was 100% right. There are only 3 people that will get blamed if the Bucks lose: Doc Rivers, Giannis, Dame. That's it. You can Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez all you want. The 3 guys that will be blamed and will take the brunt of all and will shoulder all of the load if you lose: Damian Lillard, Giannis, Doc Rivers. That's what everybody's going to talk about. So that's why when we're talking about, Dame's making the right pass, he can make all the right passes in the world. Beasley can miss every shot in the world. At the end of the day, if you lose, nobody's going to. Bucks fans might look at Beasley, but the rest of them, everybody's going to blame you for those losses. This is up to those 3 to get it done. And again, I just think so. Again, I got off track, but I really think that I think you want to face one of Indiana or Miami. Just go ahead and get those demons off. Shake, don't be rushing the first round. Shake those demons off, and then you win. You beat either Miami or Indiana, especially if you beat them convincingly, 5 games, a sweep. Whoever you play in that second round, it's like, oh man, the Bucks are for real. That's how I think you would go from all this stuff that we talked about in the regular season, firing the coach, losing the Lakers up and down, defense is bad, now the defense is good, offense is crazy, and then offense gets Damian out the carry. You win in 5 games or less in the first round, all that stuff is erased.
Yeah, and I'll also say the pressure that was alleviated when Giannis won the finals, it's back. The pressure is back on it. When they go on those talk shows and First Take and stuff like that, and they say who's under the most pressure to win right now, and they stopped talking about Giannis for a couple years. They were saying it was Tatum. They were saying it's Luka. They're saying it's Jokic. Well, it's back. You're going to be at the forefront of that. They're expecting you to do something with this, no matter the excuses, no matter, it's just the first year with Dame, Doc Rivers, and Giannis, and, they'll figure it out. No, it's there now. So that's just my thing about it is, like, that pressure to win again for Giannis is there because he is getting up there, not necessarily old, but, like, in terms of prime window and when a lot of other superstars were to win their second championship, it's coming. So, yeah, I just think that the pressure is there.
Not just for Giannis, though, but the pressure is there. There's a lot of pressure there. It's like Jameis, right? When he's talking about he was hurt, he was like, pain. Yeah. Just pain everywhere, right? Pressure, right? Pressure everywhere. That's kind of what it is, right? Think about Dame. Dame's under pressure, too. Yeah. Now, wait a minute, right? Because you've been his top 75 player when you playing around, for the most part, bums in Portland, right? I mean, we can argue about, some of the guys who were here in spots for a period of time. For the most part, he was not with a lot of remarkable players in Portland the whole time. Now you're in a championship contender, and you were coming in here, and we're treating you like you're the missing piece, whether or not that's accurate or not. We shipped Drew out here. Oh, no. There's pressure on Dame, too. Because now it's like, listen, you can't run you can't run next to a superstar, right? Like, you shrinking your game when you in the presence of this. Like, you not elevating. No. Dame 100% is going to feel this pressure. And really Doc, too. Doc, the front office, everybody. So, yeah, I agree with you, Trey. That first round needs to be Bucks need to win that thing convincingly so that we can get this thing rolling. Because if they look good in that first round, I do think that that's great for the team's confidence. But I also think that kind of solidifies that, hey, this team's got a shot to win this thing, or at least make it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, Mark Gomez says coaches get too much blame and too much credit. The NBA is a players' league. Coaching matters situationally and in the clutch. That's it. Everything else is on the players, including execution/effort. I used to agree with that. I don't any. I used to think the same thing. It doesn't matter. Anybody coach. I've come off of that. I actually think coaching is very important, I'm talking about for a long time. I was of that mindset that coaching didn't matter, and I'm totally off of that now. I just think it does. All right, so let's do some game balls and get out of here.
Man,
we all good? What are we gonna do?
My game ball, y'all already know, it's going to Giannis. Giannis has a house full of game balls at this point. He doesn't have space for another one, right? I'm either going to Giannis or I'm not giving one out at all. I'm like, nope, nobody gets a game ball, right? We're gonna stop this little league mentality of getting a game ball every game. No, nobody gets a game ball. Nobody gets an orange slice.
I don't know. I want to give it to a guy who didn't necessarily stuff the stat sheet tonight for the Pelicans, but he made some important plays on the defensive end that I think allowed them to create too much separation. I think it's Herb Jones. He was in passing lanes. He was turning Chris over, blocking Chris's shots. He was getting steals on I think he played a big part in that win for them and stepped up really when you don't have a guy like Brandon Ingram in the lineup. And so, yeah, I'll give it to him. As a whole, they played well, but I'll give it to Herb Jones.
I agree with you. Well, I agree with the fact that I thought Herb Jones played really well. Again, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals. He had a really nice game. He was just all over the place. But my game balls can go to Zion. I thought, again, especially with all the criticism about Zion and how he's overweight and all these things, he's slimmed down. He looked good to me tonight. 28 points, 5 boards, 2 assists. Again, he was not as good as Giannis tonight. Giannis was definitely the best player on the floor, but I thought Zion had a very nice showing tonight with 28 and 5. And again, he had no fear. He attacked when he needed to. He was relentless going to the basket. Was not afraid of Giannis or really Brook Lopez at all going to the basket. So I really appreciated what I saw from Zion. It was a fun matchup between the two, between watching Zion and Giannis together. Looking around the league, only one other game tonight, 123-122. The Hawks beat the Celtics for the second time in a row. So that was interesting. Again, 44 points and 44. And I think that went to overtime. 44 points from DeJounte Murray on 44 shots. So he was in full Kobe mode. It was kind of crazy seeing all, and he hit a game winner in overtime as well to take it over to get that win for them. In other news, I think earlier we saw Arizona lose, right? Illinois and Iowa State 43-37 right now, and we got a 2-point game. Carolina and Alabama going down the wire last 5 minutes. So we'll get some thoughts on NCAA tournament. Marquette playing tomorrow against NC State, and then we can get out of here and check out the nightcap on these games.
Yeah, man. Arizona just stunk. They stunk tonight. They couldn't figure it out. Clemson, admittedly, right? And I don't even think the funny thing about Clemson is I don't think the team's that good, right? I think 24 on Clemson is a real deal, but everybody else really isn't that good. This Clemson coach, the funny thing, he was going to get fired. He was on the verge of literally getting fired. And then Clemson goes on this magical run, second Elite Eight in school history, credit to them. And Arizona does this every year, right? They have this great team in the regular season, and for the most part, they're going to lose under 10 games consistently, and then they just get out there in the tournament, and that disappointment is coming. Once you get to that Sweet 16 round, after that, nope, that's kind of what they do. So, y'all know I live and breathe the Wildcats, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit up here and act like I've not been disappointed before, right? And you can't be. Look, I'm not going to wake up tomorrow mad about the same stuff I'm angry about today. So that's just kind of how we're going to deal with it and move on. And let's see what the Marquette Golden Eagles have for us. And yeah, that's pretty much that.
I'm excited to see that matchup between Marquette and NC State. I think it'll be a good game, especially if NC State's guards can figure out some consistency, and they've been playing pretty well. And this is a team who's 6-0 in their last 6 or 7-0 in their last 7, something like that. They had to win 5 games in the ACC tournament to even make the NCAAs, but they found it at the right time, and that's what you want from a team in March. They're playing their best ball at the best moment, and I think Marquette has had some pretty good showings so far in the NCAA tournament. Getting Tyler Kolek back was huge, and he's playing at a high level, so it'll be a good one. I don't know, Trey and I might do a post game. We'll talk. But Arizona, man, I want to comment on this because my goodness, 18% from 3 when they just shot at 50% versus Dayton makes me kind of aggravated because they shot so well versus us, and then they choose to have the bad game the next round. But it is what it is. They got the best of us. But you've got to look at Tommy Lloyd, and you've got to at least raise a question about, is he a head coach caliber? Look, you got bounced in the first round by Princeton. He is an assistant. This is his first head coaching job, and 3 years in a row now they've been a top 2 seed and haven't gotten at least to the Elite Eight. And that's what you would expect from an Arizona fan perspective, I think, just with the resources and how they're able to get these transfers and throw all the money in the world at them, and then ultimately they just can't bring you over the top. And you would hope that they could at least exceed those expectations at least one of these years. But yeah, I thought Brad Brownell, I think he did a coaching masterclass, honestly, on Tommy Lloyd tonight. Especially the game clinching and one, the out of a timeout. Arizona didn't have the defense for it. They had no idea what was going on, and he drew up a good play, and they got the dub. And I think you kind of screwed yourself by paying Caleb Love all that money. But yeah, he shot 0 of 9 from 3. That's just horrible. In the game of his life, probably. I mean, outside the national championship, he went with UNC. He's a snake. But go ahead, guys.
JT, you got anything else on the Zona boys? Okay.
Not particularly, right? This is why I can't get excited about recruiting classes. Arizona has 5 stars coming in every year. Everybody in America, right, wants to go play there, and it's the same result, right? Sometimes you're lucky enough to get a Pac-12 ring, and don't get me wrong. Listen, I love the Pac-12 conference championship rings. I think that's awesome. Stack them up there, right? Got 3-4 of them things in the last 5 years. That's wonderful. Last 6-7 years. That's wonderful. You have all those Pac-12 championships, but at some point, it matters what you're doing in March. And if you can't have a deep tournament run, you can't get past the Sweet 16, then who cares, right? We're gonna clap for Tommy Lloyd because he got 80 wins in his first 3 years. Great. He got 2 Pac-12 titles and 80 wins in his first 3 years. That's beautiful. right? But at the end of the day, what's that mean, right? What does that mean if you're like making it to the Sweet 16, right? Yeah. But again, I'm not gonna act heartbroken and torn up over this. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. I see this all the time. Like, I mean,
I got it. Final thoughts: a 107-100 loss. The New Orleans Pelicans do the Bucks dirty tonight in New Orleans. They get the dub. Any final thoughts on the Bucks before we get back at it Saturday?
we need a dub. We need a dub. We cannot drop this game on Saturday, right? Treat it like a must win. Let's see this team get out the slump. Let's see this team looking like a well-oiled machine. I don't want to see them putting across the finish line. I want to see them finishing with some gas.
Would like to see a little more consistency from Doc just in terms of who he's playing. I think Jay Crowder has kind of fallen off after giving us a pretty big game a couple games ago. I forget who it was, but he had some big shots in the clutch, and then all of a sudden he's just never out there. And so there's no like real parity with Doc Rivers lineups, I feel like, and I think you could at least look for some consistency within those, like A.J. Green maybe getting some minutes in the first quarter or second quarter, something like that, instead of just throwing them into the fire late in the second half. But, yeah, I think you've cleaned some of those things up, and definitely don't let this snowball into 3 in a row. That would suck. And so, yeah, that's all I got. Just win on Saturday, and then maybe the conversations will tone down a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to get a win. You got to get a win Saturday against the Hawks. And again, Hawks won 2 against Boston, so you have a good opportunity there to do that. You should be a hungry basketball team. Go ahead and get this dub. Nothing else about it. Okay, back at it. Again, a 107-100 loss. We'll be back at it Saturday on your T's and Q's. I got to check and see the schedule. I think we're still 10 to noon. But on your T's and Q's Saturday afternoon, and then you have the Bucks game after that. Coverage here at the Cream City Crossover. Again, tonight's show sponsored as always by the law office of Daley M. Johnson. Call Daley M. Johnson at 608-893-8370.
70.
For all your criminal defense needs off the court. Appreciate everybody for watching and listening to tonight. Good night, Jay Wan. The 11 King, everybody who's still out there listening to us and watching us. Q Money Adventure says, and Dame, we trust. We don't have no choice. We gotta trust him. So again, I hope he trusts himself. That's what I need. Does he trust himself? That's what I want to know. So we'll see about that. As always, this has been a Cream City Media Group production from the Guru Trey Crosby III,
JT,
Chris King.
If I am your enemy, it is only because I dare to tell you the truth. Don't take no wood nickels.